Hey everyone, it's Nicole Spohr here today, and welcome to a video featuring the Waffle Flower pop-up tree add-on and some other stamps and dies from the October 2018 release. This pop-up tree is so awesome, really innovative, and creates amazing interactive pop-up tree cards. I'm going to be sharing a couple of versions here with you today. The add-on version first, and then we will do the original version, but we're going to stamp it with the Christmas stamp or Christmas tree stamp to customize a little bit. I'm going to speed through creating my background for the card because this is a really long video today. I cut out some coloring even on the second card to shorten it up a little bit to keep the focus on creating these awesome pop-up trees. I am inking my sky background here with Mermaid Lagoon and Chipped Sapphire Distress ink, and I'm purposely leaving some white area along the bottom to kind of give the illusion of snow, spritzing the background with water from a distress sprayer, and then I'm going to set this aside for a minute. This is the pull tab pop-up tree. There's also the insert. The insert is from the tree pop-up add-on. So if you want to create the layers that pop up, which is what you're seeing here with the mice tree pop-up card, you want to put that little piece in there and die cut those together. Then you want to die cut all of these little tabs because these are going to be the little pop-up tree parts. So this is going to make it even more interactive than it is regularly. I am die cutting all of this from smooth white cardstock, and I'm going to customize it with ink. If you would like to speed that up even faster, go ahead and die cut it from green cardstock or whatever color cardstock you want first. So here are the pieces. We're going to need two of those bottom pieces. You can see there for the layers. They all fit into those little die cut pieces. That's what that insert was right there. And then we have our base piece. I'm going to remove all of these dies. If you want a little bit more detailed information, I know that there is a great video on the Waffle Flower channel that showcases the steps for this and really goes over everything completely as well. So just another reference for putting this tree together. Then I'm customizing this with crushed olive and forest moss distress ink, both the tree base and the tree. I did mask off the edges where adhesive goes because I think adhesive doesn't stick to the distress inked pieces that great, and so I didn't want to ink those up. That way my adhesive, I'm using score tape, are going to stick a lot better. I'm also going to spritz my tree with a distress sprayer so that little areas oxidize there or lighten up to look like snow has fallen over this. Gonna do the same thing for all of these little tab pieces. This is definitely maybe a little more time consuming to ink, although I thought they inked really quickly, but you could speed it up like I mentioned earlier by die cutting from green cardstock instead, or pattern paper. Excuse me. And there are quite a few little layers. So there's going to end up being, I think, 4 layers. The top of the tree, the next layer is going to have 3 pieces. Each layer, the top has 1 piece, and the next 3 layers have 3 each. Hope that makes sense. As I put this together, you will see how it goes together. I will admit I thought this was a tiny bit tricky just the first time, but when I put it together the second time, it was so much easier. So I kind of wish I would have started with the basic tree first, but I was so excited to have all these layers for the tree that's kind of the direction I went. I think it's awesome that there is an add-on so you can create it lots of ways. Now there are score lines on this tree. I'm going to put adhesive on the left side and then on the bottom little tab on each side. This tree can be pulled either way, right or left. I'm going to have my pull tab over to the right, And there are tabs on each side. You won't need the tab on the side that you're going to pull it. So I can trim that off on the right side since that's the side the pull tab's going to come out of. Then you have this little piece here. That's the mechanism that's going to create the little pull that pops up the tree. And it's really going to fold under on that left side since that is the side I'm creating the mechanism. So the end that does not have the tab, we are going to attach to the tab on the left of the tree. This is the pull mechanism. I did die cut the red circle to go back behind the little die cut arrow on this from red cardstock, and I'm going to glue that in place. You could die cut it from white cardstock and color it in contrasting color if you want to. I thought the red looked great for Christmas and it really shows off. Plus, I die cut the star for the top of the tree from gold glitter cardstock, and I did glue it to the top of the tree. I wasn't thinking. I am going to have to pop this off in a minute because the top of the tree add-on needs to go first and then this. I was able to get it off. So we'll talk about that in a second. I'm adding score tape to the tab then on my pull tab. We want to fold the mechanism all the way under on the left so it's flush and flat. I'm going to fold it up so you can see that. So this is how it folds. And I need to attach this little pull tab here to the little mechanism. So it needs to go through. I hope that maybe you can see this a little bit. It is kind of tricky. So there I've attached it. Here's what it looks like. We're going to refold the little mechanism that creates the pop-up. Pull the adhesive off that little tab on that. That's what's going to attach it to the tree base, and fold it in and secure it. And then here is what it looks like. I want to go ahead and add all of my tree pieces now. I did put the center one in first, should have put the sides in first, but you can kind of manipulate and move those around. I secured some of mine with some tape. You really don't need to. They fold in, and then you pop out the wings, the little sides on these tabs, and they should stay secure. In fact, I thought they might move a little bit too much, and so I put tape on them, but I think I want the movement. So as I got further up the tree, I just didn't worry about it. In fact, I pulled most of that off a little bit later off camera because I'm not going to need it. So put the sides in first on each layer and then put in the middle piece. You guys are kind of getting the benefit of learning after I had put one together. Sometimes I think these are a little, at least for me, I don't think I have an engineering mind. So technically, I always have to really think about this, and I fiddle with it a lot to get the tree or whatever the interactive element is assembled. But once I've created one, it really makes sense, and I think it will to you guys as well. So here, this layer has two little kind of side pieces. Then we've got this little piece that goes in the top, and this is where I realized I have the tree top, and I'd already attached my star. So I luckily was able to pull that off, pull that little tab over the top of my tree to finish off the top of my tree. I'm going to glue that down in place. I really love a pair of tweezers, these craft tweezers here. These are from EK Success. You'll see me use them in a second. When I'm gluing with liquid adhesive to something, especially something that is bulky, 3D, whatever it might be, using these tweezers to clasp and hold that liquid glue, hold the paper together until it dries all the way is so handy. So I am just gluing the top of the tree, the star, and then holding it down in place with the tip of my tweezers until it's dry. Now let's finish assembling our tree and putting it on our card, and I'm going to show you how that pop-up works. On the side or on the top rather, on the back, pull off the backing paper and fold the tree over to secure and make the tree shape. So before I put it on, I'm just going to show you popping it up. And I'm testing it to make sure my pop-up works, because again, this is kind of new to me, and so I wanted to make sure everything was working correctly before I attach it to my card base and finish off the design. Now it attaches to the card, these two tabs at the bottom where I've put some score tape, that's where the card is secured to my card base. So I'm going to put down my tree where I want it to go, and I'm going to kind of have it down here towards the bottom, I think. I want to leave enough room to stamp my sentiment from the Christmas tree stamp set that says Merry Christmas in that upper right corner. And when I pull that, look how cute it pops up. Is that not the most adorable? Now in the pull tab, there's that little slit right there. You can kind of pull and then push down, and it's going to make your pull tab pop-up tree stay put. So the recipient can pull that out, and when they display it, your tree is going to be dimensional. At the end of the video, I'm going to show you this a lot better in slow real time so that you can see how it looks flat, how it fits in an envelope really well. I'm going to show you that, and I'm going to show you how it looks popped up. I stamped my greeting with clear embossing ink in the upper right corner of the card. I'm going to sprinkle on white embossing powder, heat set that, and then we are going to finish with some additional embellishments. You could really create as simple or detailed as a scene as you want. I decided I thought it would be really cute to add some stamped images from the October release. In this case, we're going to be using the Hello Pumpkin stamp set, which has adorable little mice. And then the stars are from the Yippee stamp set. So the Yippee stamp set has some little kids, and I'm actually going to feature those on the second pop-up card. So I've got my mice, I've got my star. I'm going to stamp these with some Hero Arts Intense Black ink on smooth white cardstock. Color everything in with Copic markers. And then die cut everything with the coordinating Hello Pumpkin and Yippee stamp set, or dies rather. And then these are all going to be attached directly to the tree or the background. Now, I put the mice directly on the tree because I wanted them to look like they're in front of the tree and popped up. The second card, I'm going to show you kind of the same thing, but some of the kids are going to be back behind the tree and some are going to be on top of the tree. So it kind of looks like they're all the way around and popping up and out. Really fun. I'm coloring in my mice with E40, 43, 44, and R00 for the cheeks and the insides of the ears. In order to make the insides of the ears and the cheeks not so glaringly pink, I like to lay down a layer of E40 first, and then R00, and you can even go over it again with E40 if you want to, and that really mutes the pink a little bit. The mice outfits are going to be combinations of red, teal, and pink. We're going to start with anything that I want to color red. I'm going to do in R35, 37, and 39. That includes some of the stars. I did stamp multiple stars because I want a bunch. I want some for the tree and I want some for the sky. Then we're going to do a pattern on the one mouse's sweater with red. We're going to color in the scarf for the second mouse with some red. And then we're going to color some of these stars in some shades of yellow, which is, I started with Y11 and it was just way too light. So I actually colored over that with Y08 and I'll darken that with Y19. For the red and teal sweater, we're going to use BG 11, 13, and 18 for the contrast there. We'll also color in a couple of stars with the aqua color combination. We're going to color in the other mouse's outfit, the sweater and the cap with pinks, RV 52, 55, and 66. And then we've got their little boots. One set are going to be colored with E55 and 57, and one with some cool grays. And this is just filling in the rest of those stars with pretty much the same colors I used throughout the design. I'm going to pull in a little orange with YR01 and 04 just for another added color. Even though that color is really not featured anywhere else, I thought the orange would be a nice addition, and it's pretty muted, and it gives a little bit more variety to those stars. Then we're going to die cut everything, run that through the die cutting machine. I did that off camera to help save some time. And then I like to lay everything out. I wanted to make sure that this was going to work the way I hoped it was going to work, since I knew I wanted to add the mice to the front of that tree. I'm being a little careful with how much adhesive. I'm not adding near as much. In fact, I'm kind of keeping it to the inside face side of each mouse, and then the rest is left pretty loose so that the tree will pop up and out. Then I'm adding some black to the eyes on the mice, some little white highlights here and there throughout the design, some white polka dots to the scarf, to the cheeks. We'll finish with just a few more little highlights here and there. And then with the die cut stars, I'm going to start with a couple coming up from the two mice, and then from there just kind of scatter them, much like you would scatter confetti, sequins, whatever that might be. And I was battling my multi-matte medium for whatever reason. It was a little bit gunky. I had to take a pin and actually unclog it. I think I left it out and open overnight on accident, which I always try not to do, but it happened. And then to really round out the design, I'm going to take Nuvo Crystal Drops in Red Berry and add ornaments to the tree and let that sit and completely dry, since that's going to be a liquid, wet product. And I'm going to take Nuvo Crystal Drops in White Blizzard and go over the stars so they're glittery. And that's going to finish off this card. Let's go ahead and move on to the pull tab pop-up tree that features the kids from the Yippee stamp set. Very, very similar. Backgrounds created exactly the same. But for this one, we want to stamp the tree. And I want to stamp that first. So I use the die as a guide. And this time, I am going to ink up my tree with peeled paint and forest moss distress oxide inks. And I chose this because they are inks that have pigment in them, and this is a pretty big stamp. I'm using the Misty so I can stamp it multiple times to get the most solid image possible, and I'm also trying to create an ombre effect. I inked this up with both of these colors of ink, so it's darker along the bottom and lighter at the top. From here, we're going to take our pull tab pop-up tree die and die cut this, and it will die cut the top of the tree. We want to get the tree as close to the sides as possible. See how that frames it up? Then we're going to run this through the die cutting machine. So lots of ways to create this tree. You do not have to customize it with the stamp. You can customize it with the stamp, or you can use the add-on dies to make even more of a layered tree. So here it is die cut. Just like before, we are going to create or fold up our tree the exact same way. We're going to trim off the tab on the right side, but this time there's not going to be any additional layers. So we can save just a little bit of time here today since we're not adding anything extra. We do need our little mechanism for the pop-up. We need our pull tab. I want my little contrasting circle to glue back behind that. Now, before I assemble this, I do want to add the rest of my sentiment. and I grabbed the To the World from the Christmas tree stamp set, and I'm going to stamp that with forest moss along the bottom edge. You can use it or not, either way, but I wanted to fill in that little area with that. Again, I'm using a MISTI. A stamp positioner tool makes it so you can stamp it multiple times to get the most solid image possible. And let's go ahead and assemble our tree. Let's start by putting our contrasting circle back behind the pull tab and set that aside to dry for a second. Let's fold in everything. I like to use a bone folder to really score everything nicely on those fold lines. Then we're going to put score tape on all of the same tabs that we did before and assemble our tree. And this just ensures that everything folds nicely when you go to assemble an interactive element. I'm a really big fan of using a bone folder when you're creating interactive dies or elements especially, because it just ensures that everything folds out correctly. So on these two triangle pieces at the top, let's put some adhesive, and also on the little section at the bottom and the tab. On the other side, only the bottom piece on the right side, again, because I'm pulling to the right. If you were pulling to the left, you would flip-flop this. Then I've got my mechanism that creates the pop-up. We are going to attach that on the left side. I double-checked myself multiple times to make sure I was getting this correct. We're putting adhesive on the little tabs. That looks good. We want to make sure that we get our pull tab put on right. I actually put it on wrong again the first time. It's always best, in my opinion, if you put the pull tab through the tree the way it's supposed to go, then kind of flip your tree over, check it out, make sure everything's lined up right, and put it back in. So I'm going to fold in the mechanism. I want to push this through, glue that down in place. And that's where I discovered I put it on backwards. I left it in here because I think it's kind of important to show you that it's really easy to do. And I kept double checking the entire time I was putting this together because I didn't want to get it down on my card only to realize I hadn't put it together correctly. So let's put that back in the right way so that the little arrow is going to be facing the right way. Let's pull off our adhesive from the pop-up mechanism. Push that down and adhere it to the back. Here is that pop-up. Hope that gives you a good idea how that looks. Pull off the adhesive from the top of the card, fold over that right side to secure it, and then on the bottom, let's pull off all of our little adhesive pieces. Oh, actually, I'm going to glue my glittery star to the top of the card first, or the top of the pop-up tree first. It just pops right inside here. On this one, you could definitely just glue it down, and that works great. Look how cute. Now that little tab there, see that little slit? You push that down, and that is going to hold the tree down in place. So you just pull it and kind of pull it down, and it makes it stick up. And here's what that's going to look like. How cute is this little tree? I just can't get over how fun these pop-up trees are to create. And as I've mentioned, it's one of those things, the more you make, the easier it gets. I'm going to lay out the stamps from the Yippee stamp set that I'm going to use just to kind of make sure and see exactly how many of these little kid images I want for my card. I know I want the little jumping ones in front and the ones that have their arms spread wide back behind. I am not going to color these on camera. I did film it, and this video was just getting so long that I thought I could cut that out today. Many of the same colors you saw me use in the mice. Hardly any other extra color combinations. So I apologize for that for those who love the coloring part, but I really felt like the video was long and I wanted to focus on the pop-up trees. Let's peel the backing paper off of the bottom now. Adhere our tree to our background. Play with our little pull tab slider. Push that down so it stays put. I just love it. I think it's so innovative and so cool. Now, while I stamp and color my images, I did take Nuvo Crystal Drops in Red Berry, and where those little spots are on the tree, I just used those as a guide and colored those with my Red Berry Nuvo Crystal Drops. That way this can sit and dry while I stamp and color the adorable little kids from the Yippee stamp set. And this adds some fantastic ornaments and fantastic color to our pop-up pull tab tree. I'm going to glue the girl and boy kind of back behind my tree now, like they're popping out from back behind the tree saying joy to the world. And then the two little girls jumping are going to be there in the front. Again, I've got a multitude of stars. This time we're going to put them all over the sky background. We're going to cover these with Nuvo Crystal Drops and White Blizzard, so they're sparkly as well, very much like the first card. And then that really finishes off the design. So here's how flat the card looks. This is in real time. I wanted to show you how flat it is before you pop it up. In fact, let's grab an envelope. I want to put it in the envelope so you can see exactly how it looks, because it is kind of a full card, but it folds nice and flat. It's going to mail really nicely. When the recipient pulls this out, the only little tricky part's probably getting it in, and I like to just go nice and slow. So look how flat that is, really. It is going to go through the mail very well. When you recipient pulls it out, all they have to do is pull that little pull tab slider, push it down so it locks in place. See that little slit right there? Here's where I wanted to show you that in real time. And look, it keeps it popped up. There's what the mechanism looks like inside. There's your little pop-up tree. Wouldn't this be adorable set out on the mantle or on the counter, wherever during the holiday season? I think it would bring a smile to anyone's face. Just so super cute. Really, really adorable. I absolutely love this. And like I mentioned, Waffle Flower is incredible at bringing very innovative type of interactive dies to this industry. Here is the other version. You can see how flat it is. You pull that out. You lock it down in place. Whoops, I didn't get it locked. And this one's popped up as well. Look at that dimension. Look at the little cute popped up tree. So much fun. I hope this has inspired you guys to try your own pop-up Christmas trees. Thank you for joining me today for these cards featuring Waffle Flower stamps and dies. The supplies I used to create my cards are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Here are a couple more cards featuring Waffle Flower stamps and dies you might be interested in. If you enjoyed this video today, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you so much for joining me today, and we'll see you next time.